Hello and welcome to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast right here on Newport City Radio. Toronto, Canada was the focus of all our attention and the eyes of the millions of wrestling fans all around the world last night. I wonder why. Was there some hockey on? Was there some basketball on? Was there some football on? Was there some Canadian football on? And anything happened in Toronto, Canada last night, guys?
Let me have a think. Let me have a deep think about this because I'm not too sure. I did stay.
At all?
I did stay up and watch something till 4 a.m. though. I will say that.
What was that you watched up till 4 a.m?
It was Elimination Chamber in Canada, Toronto. The annual Elimination Chamber, and yeah, it was interesting, as everything is on this podcast is interesting.
It was interesting. I think we'll start there. The fact, obviously, we'll start with the attendance before we move into any of the matches. I think 40,000 for an Elimination Chamber. I get we're on the road to WrestleMania. I get The Rock's there. I get John Cena's there. But for them to do 40,000 for what you would argue is a B-tier pay-per-view, premium live event, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty impressive. Come on.
Oh yeah, 100%.
For a stadium, yeah.
40,000 fans for a show that arguably is a big show, but not something you would expect to have 40,000 people there.
Yeah.
Like normally we don't see that. Obviously last year they went to Australia and Perth, and kind of
they're going back to.
Yes, they are going back to, which is interesting, and I'm not too happy about. I am, but I'm not. As we all know, WrestleMania should be in the UK. But anyway, that was last week's conversation.
Last week's podcast.
But Toronto, Canada, 40,000. The crowd was electric, to be fair. There was a lot of big names there. Not even wrestlers, but just people who, big wrestling fans were there, that you would expect to be there. But yeah, overall, 40,000 for a Road to a WrestleMania Elimination Chamber show in Canada. It's pretty good. It's impressive.
That does include a certain Drake.
Yeah,
in the front row.
Yes. Yeah, because it was reported that by PW Insider that he was going to be there. And then all of a sudden he came on the camera then. Well, I don't know whether he was on the camera, but I seen a photo of him. Actually, I seen a photo online of
I think it was him holding a belt or something.
It was someone that is
Santi's up.
Yeah, it was Santi's up. That's who it was.
Yeah.
He was sat like 2-3 seats away from Drake, so that confirmed it, and it was interesting. Interesting, he wasn't on camera though, which is.
I thought that.
Like, because he's such a big name, you'd think they would just they showed other people as they normally do, kind of.
Yeah. The Netflix names they showed rather than anyone else. But they didn't. Was on Netflix.
But they didn't show Drake, which is interesting, but not interesting. But you know,
I was half expecting a segment with who was that guy that came out with The Rock?
Travis Scott.
Travis
Scott versus Drake at WrestleMania. Imagine.
Oh wow!
Imagine.
Shouldn't that be reserved for Kendrick?
True.
I don't know the whole beef there. I just know obviously the one song from the Super Bowl.
I don't even know.
But though, Jack, going back to the kind of, does this signify how much WWE has grown over the past? Well, even 2 years ago they were in. Were they 2 years ago? Were they in Quebec for the Elimination Chamber when Sammy obviously faced Rowan after turning on him?
Yeah.
They got about 15,000 people in an arena. Fast forward 2 years, they're getting 40,000 people in a stadium.
Yeah, they've grown massively from where they were 2 years ago with regards to ticket sales, gate, just fans even attending. It's just massive.
Everything to do with WWE, though, the past, say, year or so, mainly ever since Triple H took over, it's improved. It really has. Like, it's not even like kind of the attendance and the storylines. It's the stage setups. It's the decisions, the talents. Like, what I liked about recently is instead of the NXT shows, well, not really the NXT shows anymore, but Stand and Deliver upcoming WrestleMania time. It's no longer NXT Stand and Deliver. It is WWE Stand and Deliver. even though it's focused on NXT wrestlers, but I really like the fact that NXT, instead of it being kind of
it's not
NXT,
it's not a separate thing anymore.
Even though it was with WWE, it's now a whole thing. A part of WWE, and I think bringing the numbers back on the WrestleMania logos, obviously we noticed that Vince McMahon didn't really like the numbers, but Triple H has brought them back for WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. Overall, I think
it was there this year, and I believe it was there last year as well for 40.
But WrestleMania 40 had it was XL. So it wasn't really like it was Roman numerals, I suppose you could say. But overall, stage production, camera quality, angles, everything in WWE is improved. The attendance has skyrocketed to in my opinion, the biggest it's ever been for consistency and every type of show. Like we all know, WrestleMania always has a very big attendance, and there's certain shows in the UK and across different places that have good numbers, but it's gone from of like a 6,000... kind of your Raws and SmackDowns, kind of an average of 6,000 to 7,000 to
like 15
to 10
plus,
to 15,000, and in some places even bigger. It's you've gone from like not small arenas but bigger arenas,
which is just crazy.
Bigger storylines, better stage quality. Everything is to do with WWE is so much better.
It is, and something that was so much better, as we've mentioned, was Elimination Chamber, which did take place last night in Toronto, Canada. We're kind of going to go through the match cards, and we're going to finish off with that segment, that moment that the whole professional wrestling world is talking about. We will get into that moment at the end of the podcast. We're going to start off, though, as I mentioned, we're going to go through the match order. Women's Elimination Chamber match did kick off the show, as I believe it did last year. We're going to find out who would face Rhea Ripley or Io Sky. I like how they kind of played into it could be Io Sky. At WrestleMania 42, we know, obviously, the other side of things, Tiffany Stratton, who also wrestled on this card last night, is going to face Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. There's no better way to start the Women's Elimination Chamber than an angle that has been months in the making. That's had us talking on this podcast, had many podcasts talking, many fans talking around the world. Jade Cargill finally returned, and you were a little bit shocked, weren't you, Jack?
Oh, I was.
Talk to me.
Completely shocked. It was just a brutal return from her. We thought it was planned, she was going to go after Liv, but she totally swerved us all by brutally attacking Naomi. I mean, I'm completely intrigued where this is going to go.
And costing her the match as well.
Costing her spot in the match, which I was half expecting as a return either of Jade to be in the match or Becky Lynch to return.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was thinking. When I was sat there obviously watching it, I thought, as I was thinking it, I was about to message in the group chat when Naomi as it progressed, I thought, Naomi's going to get taken out here, and is Jade Cargill going to replace her? That's what I generally thought, but then Jade kind of walked off, and then they said Naomi is out of the match. She's now been eliminated. Effectively, she forfeited the match because she was unable to continue the match. But I genuinely thought Jade Cargill was going to be in the match. I wasn't seeing anyone else to return. I mean, there's always that thought in the back of your mind that someone could return, like a Becky Lynch or something. But no, it was surprising.
There's no better way to start off a match than surprise return of Jade Cargill, which we knew was coming at some point on the road to WrestleMania. Some thought it might be the Royal Rumble, but she wasn't cleared in time, I don't think. But she did return last night and took out Naomi, which I was half expecting. I think I called last week on the podcast when we talked about our thoughts and predictions for this event that she would return and take out Naomi.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people it was between Naomi and Bianca Belair as to who attacked her. Could it be both? something that someone pointed out on social media last night was that both Naomi and Bianca were wearing white.
Mm-hmm.
Jade was wearing black.
Yeah.
Could are we are pro wrestling fans looking too hard into symbolization, or could this be a genuine?
I mean, the symbolization is there heavily. Like,
because this leads me to the kind of Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley is a dream match at WrestleMania. It's a dream match. It's arguably two faces of their era on NXT, the two faces of this era on Raw and SmackDown. Of women's wrestling, you could argue, you have the four horsewomen, and then you kind of had the next generation after that, the Ronda Rousey, Asuka, you had people like that. And then more recently, over the past, say, 4 or 5 years, you've had the rise of Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
And Rhea Ripley.
It's just kind of like a throwback to like the NXT days.
Yeah.
When kind of Rhea was the NXT champion and kind of those type of moments. It is a dream match and it's kind of been spoken about for a long time now. But yeah, it's interesting because I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting Bianca to win it at all. I really wasn't, and I don't know why.
No, I wasn't either.
But when Alexa got eliminated, which was my pick to win.
It was Jack's pick as well.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Like, I was just like, there's no way Liv's going to win it again.
Yeah.
There's no way Liv's going to face Rhea again. There's no way. So I was like, Bianca? But then I thought, is kind of Bianca going to pin Liv?
Yeah.
And then someone's going to come out and take Naomi's spot and be like, there's still a spot technically open, and they could have played into that storyline. Could that have been Jade Cargill? Could that have been someone else? I don't know, but Bianca to win, I was just, it was just, it was shocking. But overall, the Chamber started very well, especially with Jade's return. And it makes sense storyline wise going forward with Bianca winning and Jade Cargill returning and attacking Naomi. But
it does.
I am unhappy Alexa didn't win though. That is the main kind of thing that overall I was kind of annoyed about in that match. But Alexa's just returned. She was out for a very long time. So yeah, it's understandable why she didn't win. But storyline wise, really looking forward to how this is going.
What was your reaction when Alexa, your pick, was eliminated?
I was just completely, I'd say, shocked. I mean, I thought she was 100% down to win, but I guess WWE are going in complete as a U-turn, pretty much.
Because it makes sense. She kind of was in a bit of a trance, wasn't she? I think it was fair to say during that match, and they're definitely playing into the Wyatt Six storyline.
Yeah, I think she's still completely struggling with the whole Wyatt's, say she's being possessed. She's still possessed by them, or something's happened. I have no idea.
Could we potentially see? We seen it was Liv Morgan who eliminated her. Do you say Curtis? Liv Morgan eliminated Alexa.
Yeah. So. Yes. I think Alexa was going for Liv and Bianca, and then it turned into a DDT rolled up thing, and then Liv was holding on to Bianca's hair whilst pinning Alexa. Then Liv eliminated Alexa, and then it turned into Liv and Bianca, and they had a back and forth.
Yeah.
They kind of tried to hit each other's finishes on each other. Bianca ultimately got the KOD. And
a well-deserved win from her.
Yeah, well-deserved.
Yes. The reason I asked that question, could we potentially see then, obviously, looking ahead now to WrestleMania, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan for the women's tag titles? Would that interest you at all, Jack, or does it depend on character development and storyline?
I think it just all depends on how they go with the character development down the line. I mean, it could possibly happen.
Does that whet your appetite, though?
Not at the moment, no.
No.
Down the line, you 100%.
Oh, WrestleMania.
See, like, I still think that's
I
a
mean,
bit too early.
WrestleMania's
A month
looking
of-
stacked already. I mean, with the stuff that's rumoured and the stuff that's already been confirmed too. It's hard to find a place for that match.
Yeah, it's looking at coming out of this match. We're going to see Naomi and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania.
Interesting.
Delaying the inevitable match between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, which many thought could be at WrestleMania. Many predicted that it was Bianca Belair that took out Jade. It could still very well be Bianca that took out Jade along with Naomi. And obviously, we're going to see Bianca Belair take on Rhea Ripley or Io Sky.
Yes, we are.
Is it going to be Bianca, Rhea, Bianca, Io, or the over-looming prediction of a triple threat match?
I think... See, that's the thing. Obviously, Bianca is going to face either Io or Rhea, but I was thinking that they were going to do a triple threat between... It was either going to be a one-on-one match between Bianca and Jade, or a triple threat between Bianca, Naomi, and Jade. That's what I thought, but now that Bianca's won the Chamber and is to face Rhea or Io, there's no way that either Io or Rhea are going to get inserted into that match. That doesn't make sense in any way. So by the looking of things, it's going to be Rhea Ripley or either Io Sky versus Bianca, and Naomi versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania.
You don't envisage a triple threat either, Jack, or...?
No, I don't. I agree with Curtis. I think there will be a singles match between either Rhea or Io versus Bianca.
So the show got off to a very, very hot start, as we mentioned, with the Women's Chamber match.
Yes.
The women continue to steal the spotlight. Jack?
As you said, yes, we followed the Chamber matchup with a tag match between Nia and Candice LeRae versus Tiffany Stratton and the hometown queen, Trish Stratus. I mean, I'll start off with my thoughts on this. I'll get to yours in a bit. I mean, it was a good filler match for all involved, I think. It was so nice to see Trish get a pop in her hometown. I just wanted to get your thoughts on...
Was it nice to see Trish again?
Yeah, it was fantastic, especially the gear she was wearing. She had homage to previous...
the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The badges on her gear were homages to previous...
The hockey team.
Yeah.
It was... I think Tiffany had similar as well, didn't she?
Yeah, they were both wearing matching gear.
Yes, they were.
But yeah, it was really nice to see the crowd pop for Trish. Overall, it was a good filler match. Coming back off the Women's Chamber match.
Yeah.
And the next match, I think it didn't lack too much, as kind of we've seen previously. In my opinion, there's been kind of filler matches like these that have lacked a little bit, and is kind of
top 3 falls for the tag titles in Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so kind of stuff like that lack, and they kind of not in a way ruin the PLE, but they kind of detone it. But that kept a high standard in a good way, and I think overall it did what it needed to do, and it was a good match. And the crowd was electric in it. It
did, as you say, it did what it needed to do. I, more than anything, was surprised that we didn't see an appearance from Charlotte Flair, considering that Tiffany Stratton is facing her at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I know this is obviously Trish in her hometown, and it's what do they call themselves? Tiffy and Trishy time.
Yes.
I know it's kind of around them and the story with Nia and Candice.
You would have thought she would at least...
But she's facing her at Mania, even if she was up in a sky box watching somewhere
up in the box like they kind of do before, where there's been...
Or even ringside, or
I was
somewhere.
thinking ringside, yeah.
That's the thing. They could have done that just to have them there, just to kind of,
Because then it'd be a 3-on-2 advantage for the heels almost, wouldn't it? And it might get Tiffany over more as a babyface, which is the direction they're going for WrestleMania.
Yeah, they're trying to get Tiffy over as much as they can, which is a good thing because
she needs a big win.
She needs a big win, and I think that will come at WrestleMania. I think she will.
Ooh, do you think she'll beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania? Is this an early prediction?
Very early prediction.
Very early.
We're about a month and a half away from WrestleMania, which means we're a month and a half away of a year of this podcast.
48 days.
48 days time, we will be watching WrestleMania and have lack of sleep like we always do. Fun old weekend. But I think Tiffany, because of how over she is with the crowd, I think if she was to lose against Charlotte and Charlotte was become champion again, I think it would not ruin her, kind of
derail.
I think it would derail her reputation a bit. But I think the way that they could go is that Tiffany does beat Charlotte and boosts her reputation to say, listen, I've beaten Charlotte Flair, who effectively is the greatest woman wrestler in this generation.
Woo!
Oh, don't start that stuff. I know. If you want to go that, do it again.
No.
All right.
I've done my woo for the one my one woo for this episode.
All right, I'll do my one yeet for the episode. There we go. No worries. But going back on track, I think it's interesting to see where kind of Nia and Candice go from now.
Are you stealing my talking point?
I didn't actually see that, to be honest. I've only just noticed that, but yeah, I am interested to see where they kind of go now. I can't really think of where they are going to go. I don't know whether you guys have any ideas of where they could go.
Well, that's kind of why I put it down, because we know kind of the main stories for the women for Mania. We're going to see Bianca Belair face Rhea or Io.
Yeah.
We're going to see Tiffany against Charlotte Flair. Nia Jax, you could argue, has been one of the workhorses in the women's division over the past 12 months. She's been on every SmackDown she can. She's been wrestling in a singles, tag match, premium live events, whatever.
Yeah.
She got the record for the eliminations in the women's chamber. Not the women's chamber.
Rumble.
In the women's Rumble match. She's got to be on the Mania card in some way, shape or form. I know I mentioned earlier in the women's chamber match, could we see, what's her name, Alexa and Nikki Cross potentially go for the tag titles?
Yeah.
Could we see Nia and Candice go to the tag titles? Do you think Nia deserves a single match at WrestleMania?
I don't know, because I'm quite liking the tag team with Nia and Candice. I think it's a kind of a good storyline thing that they could play into, and it kind of elevates Candice in a way, because obviously the way Nia is, she's hard to beat sometimes. But I think Candice will help and improve herself with being with Nia, so I think there's a very good chance that they could go for the tag team titles and go for Liv and Raquel Rodriguez.
Or they could just have a segment at Mania.
Or they could have a segment, but I think what they'll do is they'll maybe have either. This is the problem. What do we see? Where do we see the tag titles being at WrestleMania? Do we see them being on the card?
They've got to be. They've got to be.
In some shape or
I
form.
think every single title
100%.
will be defended
So
on the event.
Do we think maybe like not? What could we see? Maybe a ladder match for the women's tag titles with a bunch of teams in, or just like a fatal four-way?
I think a fatal four-way would work well. We seen 2 years ago WrestleMania 39 when they had the women's showcase match and the men's showcase match as well. That kind of people didn't really know what to expect, but they were pleasantly surprised by it, and I was as well. And it was a really, really solid match for both men and women.
Yeah.
That, for me, I know there's frustration around the women's scene at the moment about how women aren't really involved in storylines outside of world title feuds.
Yeah.
But I think the development of the tag title scene is one of Triple H's biggest achievements, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
under Vince, they were kind of being shoehorned into tag teams for a couple of weeks. One would turn on the other to they kind of used the tag titles to develop single stars.
That's the problem, I think, is kind of what we're used to. We're used to someone being chucked into a tag team, say like Candice and Nia, who you wouldn't really think would be a tag team, but are a tag team. And then all of a sudden, then
just like thrown together.
They're thrown together. It's a bit messy. It's a bit up in the air. And then all of a sudden, then they just kind of turn on each other or something like that and have a singles match, which I think Triple H has taken over and said, no, if you're going to be a tag team, it's going to work, and there's going to be a storyline behind it.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to turn into every tag team turning on each other. Like, the main tag team that is mainly focused on, I think, Triple H in his eyes, is the kind of the Jade Cargill, Bianca and Naomi stuff. Like, that is a good storyline and what should be needed if there's a turn, which I think is it's one of the best storylines for a split for a tag team.
Very meaningful to the fans.
It's very meaningful, and it's setting up at some point a dream match, which is Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. At some point, I think that should be at WrestleMania. Maybe the thing is, it should have been at this WrestleMania. But are they really going to wait a year, or could we see?
They waited a year for Cody to beat Roman.
I think what they could do is Bianca might beat Rhea, become the new champion, and then that's when Jade Cargill and Naomi have a match, and then Jade Cargill wins, and then after a while they start having a storyline of maybe Jade winning the Rumble again and going after Bianca as the champion, and that's when they have their big money match between Bianca and Jade for the WWE Women's title at WrestleMania in New Orleans. That's a way they could go, but it just depends on how they play it out.
I love how we're talking about Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus.
And we've got
that's easy to say, but those two names.
It's really easy to say. That's why I got confused last week.
And Nia and Candice. Yeah, because if you look at the tag teams at the moment, you've got Liv and Raquel. You've got these two. You've potentially got the tag team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross,
which I think would be a good tag team.
You've got Kaden Carter and Katana Chance over on Monday Night Raw. There's probably some others that I can't think of.
Yeah.
What would you do at WrestleMania, Jack?
I just personally think Triple H has done tremendously well with both sets of tag team divisions, men's and women's. He's done tremendously well with storylines.
I think the men's road does need to be developed a little bit more.
Yes.
I think it has since the Motor City Machine Guns debut. They've kind of focused the tag scene around them.
Yeah.
Especially on SmackDown, but tag titles have been defended once on a premium live event since WrestleMania 40, and that was obviously the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the women's he's done well with, but the men's needs a big improvement because it's kind of the same people. It's kind of like 3 tag teams.
I think they just
Street Profits, DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns are kind of playing a storyline together.
They just build into that at Mania.
But I think that will build to like kind of a big fatal 4-way match for the men's tag titles, and then maybe for the women's I see maybe a fatal 4-way, either a showcase or like a
obviously that'll be one side of the men's tag team, because obviously
and I think that either could be, I think maybe Austin Theory and Grayson Waller could be inserted some way or shape or form into a tag team match, or they could have a singles match at WrestleMania. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Never say never.
That is correct, but yeah. So we've had a kind of a stable, non-brutal match, kind of your usual match.
Yeah.
As you described it, a filler match.
Which
every cat needs, to be fair.
We've had a filler match, and then the next match, we know it's unsanctioned, but my lord, talk about unsanctioned, talk about brutality. And funnily enough, Luke's wearing a jumper of one person in this match.
One particular person.
I didn't even realise I was wearing. I just grabbed it out the wardrobe on my way in.
So, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in an unsanctioned match, And I knew it was going to be brutal when the referee had gloves on before the match even started.
They really played into the unsanctioned
They
aspect
did, heavily,
of it. They
yeah.
really did,
And
which is
I think-
pleasing to see.
I think that was up there with one of the best unsanctioned matches we've had in a good while.
Yeah.
But it was brutal throughout. Don't get me wrong, it was really, really brutal throughout. There were spots of kind of the barbed wire chair, the two tables, all the table spots, kind
Yeah.
of
The hockey stick.
the hockey stick as well, which kind of made sense because it was in Canada and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But that match was brutal.
Did you expect it to be as brutal as it was?
No, I knew it was going to be brutal, but I didn't think they would play into so much of Kevin has actually lost his mind,
Yeah.
and he's a raging, not there kind of person. I don't really know what to say to explain the words of how
He's
Kevin
lost his
Owens-
marbles.
Yeah, as one person would say, he's lost his marbles. But yeah, and then after the match, Kevin lost his mind completely and ripped up some of the padded flooring.
Well, he was being carried away, wasn't he, by security guards? Then
Yeah.
he pushed them away and attacked them to get himself back down towards the ring.
And then he tried to pull Sammy out to go for a...
I genuinely thought he was
bu-
actually going to do it.
Yeah, I thought it was. It was a... What was it? Pile driver, I think he was going to do. And
Yeah.
then, for some reason, and a good reason, we all heard voices in our head. A certain Randy Orton returned, which
very
we
much did,
expected,
yes.
in a way, that Randy was going to kind of return at some point
Yeah.
to get involved and kind of saved Sammy in a way. Sammy got taken away out of the arena.
Practically just saved his life.
Pretty much, yeah. And then attacked Kevin Owens and tried to go for they had a brawl, and then he was about to hit an old vintage move, which is the Randy Orton punk kick. But he got stopped by security midway through, which was kind of annoying.
Yeah,
to
why
see.
why interfere then? You know, they were stood ringside for like
5
a
minutes.
while.
five
at least
minutes,
5-10 minutes.
watching this
Like,
beat down by Randy Orton
Get
and Kevin
involved, just-
Owens.
and then-
Why do they stand in when he's about to hit a punt kick?
Yeah,
Why?
But the most
Out of
brutal
everything.
move that could have happened on that night, and the best move we really wanted to see.
yeah.
And those security guards decided to get in the way, but then all of them got RKO'd. There was about 5 RKOs. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any
It's
more?
like they were ringside waving as if to say, "Stop, don't do it anymore." Then all of a sudden, something switched in their mind, thinking,
Oh, we better stop
"Oh,
this.
I can
better start
actually
doing our job,
run
yeah."
into the ring."
Oh, I've actually got a job to do. Oh, actually, I can get into this ring. It's not high at all. I can easily get into it. Get in and
Yeah.
stop something that Kevin Owens deserved to happen, because that might actually made him go back to a normal person. But, here we go. It was a brutal match, but Luke, I know you've got quite a bit to say about this.
Yes.
Do I?
I think so.
Yeah,
What do you want to talk about?
I see what you did there.
Indeed.
Yeah, we know there's storied history between Kevin and Sammy. They talked about it in the build up to the match, and I think Michael Cole did a really good job, even mentioning Kevin Steen and El Generico from their indie days.
Yeah.
You often see two wrestlers, CM Punk and John Cena. You see The Rock and Stone Cold, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, two who are locked in forever, who can always go back to tell more of the story between the two of them, even though it's been going for 20 odd years at this point. It lived up to what we thought it would. It lived up to what we hoped it would be.
Yeah.
It definitely lived up to their history, and
Nearly every expectation was pretty much fulfilled, really.
100%.
believe.
100%.
no blood though. I thought we might have had a little bit of blood in this match. Obviously unsanctioned. You see the referee, as you mentioned at the start, wearing some gloves.
Which is why I thought there was going to be a bit more kind of brutality. Like, the moves were brutal, but there was no kind of blood. And
at least on the barbed wire chair, I reckon.
They should have at least... to make it more realistic, there could have been, like, blood on his head and stuff, and dripping down on his back and his shoulders. They could have played that a bit more, but that's the thing. It was that brutal that we didn't really need the blood to be a thing of how good that match was. I think that match was up there with match of the night. It's definitely second of match of the night, 100%.
Oh, it was match of the night for me. For me, 100%.
But yeah, overall it was good.
Obviously, this is the first time we've seen Randy Orton since he was wrote off TV late last year. Obviously, I'll get the names right in a minute. Kevin hit the package power driver on Randy.
Did you notice he came back with a shaved head? He shaved his head.
Hasn't he always had a shaved head for his...
No, he kind of... Well, most of his career he has, but like kind of...
09 possibly?
But there was bits where sometimes he did have a bit of like hair, kind of like a skinhead in a way. But
I mean, more recently.
But more recently, yeah, he has been bald, yeah.
Yeah.
Triple H style.
H style. Yes, so that's going to be... There's so many different angles it can go leading to WrestleMania with that one. We know Kevin and Randy are both great storytellers in the ring, whether it's promos or matches or whatever. So that's one direction for Mania. Sami Zayn, what was I saying? Yeah, Sami Zayn, I'd love to see him have a match against Karrion Kross. I think they're teasing. I think the fans are really warming to Karrion over the past couple of months with his work with Wyatt Six and The Miz. He's definitely getting more and more over with the crowd. So a match with Sami, I think the storyline's there. He's been kind of teasing it on social media and backstage and whatever. So that would be a pretty fun match to see at Mania. I'd love to see the build for that match as well. But that barbed wire steel chair, Jack.
Oh, it was my favorite.
Talk me through your reaction, because they don't really do much with barbed wire in WWE, do they? We associate that more probably deathmatch wrestling, AEW kind of dabble with barbed wire
and kind of the Attitude Era type stuff.
When they
that
do
banned word on this podcast.
I don't.
You know that's a banned word on this podcast.
I don't think it's banned, but
like you said, look, when they do use barbed wire, it means something brutal is going to go down. I mean, it was my favorite spot of the whole night. Put it that way.
And you think when it couldn't get any better in this match, Randy Orton returned.
We all heard voices.
I hear voices in my head.
We do hear voices. I mean,
I was very pleased that he came back when he did.
I think at the end of the match when Kevin was going for these really super moves, package power driver on the exposed steel floor, we knew Randy was about to return.
Something had to happen. I'm like, come on, please.
We knew something was about to happen, and obviously that was Randy Orton returning. What was your favourite spot in this match?
It has to be the barbed wire chair. I mean, it was just so... Like, I wasn't just the whole stuff they did with chairs in the match was just... I wasn't even expecting...
It was the pop when they pulled it out.
Yeah.
It was the pop when they pulled it out.
Curtis, you started this segment. You can finish. What was your favourite spot of this match?
I'm going to agree with Jack with the barbed wire chair stuff. I think that topped it off. That was brutal.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a second one as well, because why not? Was when Randy returned and kind of the brutality of that and the beatdown, and I really wanted him to hit that punk kick as well. But
yeah, shades of the legend killer Randy Orton, but
he looked in tremendous shape as well. To be fair,
he always does. Randy Orton. Obviously, he's been looking after himself when he's been out injured or written off TV for storyline or whatever, which leads us nicely, perfectly towards the last match of the night.
It was electrifying.
Was it?
It was electrified.
It was it was electrifying. It was brutal. It was shocking. It was
Every word under the sun.
every word you can think of. Will describe and will link to that match.
Travis Scott made an appearance.
He did indeed.
He did.
No, I'm of course talking about the main event of the night, the men's Elimination Chamber match.
And I predicted this match card, and well, not the match card, but I predicted the order. So I am
You
correct
did.
You
again.
did.
And I said the men's would main event, so...
Did it main event, though? In terms of matches, yes, but segments...
Segments, no, of course it didn't. Of course it didn't.
Where should we begin with this? Well, let's start with the men's chamber itself, because going into it, there was the overarching question more recently since The Rock returned and asked Cody to give him his soul
Yeah.
on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. There was the overarching who is going to win. It's unpredictable.
Mhm.
Would it be John Cena? I argued last week that it shouldn't be John Cena. He's got
You did, yes.
10 months left. The chase is always better than arguably the title reign. But, however,
It makes a lot more sense now.
it makes a lot more sense. Well, we'll come on to that. Let's talk about the chamber itself first. I think the first really interesting thing of note is Drew McIntyre was eliminated by Damian Priest. He, again...
Very shockingly, surprisingly.
Drew's rage kind of... I think he went for Cena, and
Yeah.
then his anger and rage kind of blindsided him when Damian Priest rode him up for a surprise 1-2-3.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that match? Because there's a lot of talk online for all the Drew's done this year with the Punk stuff, with anything he's given, he's smashed out the park. Is Damian Priest almost not below him, but do you think he deserves a little bit more of a higher profile match at WrestleMania? Is that fair to say?
I just personally think that Damien is one, I'd say, sort of peg below Drew. Not massively, but
yeah.
he's getting there in his in-ring work, his mic work, everything.
I think it kind of leads back to kind of the long-time storytelling, because if you think...
Yeah.
Drew won the title off Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
He did.
Damian Priest cashed in on Drew, took the title off him. So it makes sense, in a way, to have Drew versus Priest at WrestleMania.
Yeah, there is.
I think that will lead to a one-on-one match. 100% I agree that Drew kind of deserves maybe a world title shot again.
Definitely.
But I think it's all going to play into the part of he's being screwed out of world title stuff, and he's not... It's not that he's not doing enough, but his obsession, in a way, kind of gets the better of him in a way. I think that's how they're going to lead into it.
His obsession outweighs his goal.
That's the thing. I think his dream is a world title, but his obsession of what Punk did to him is still getting in the way of him, and with Seth Rollins as well, and Damian Priest. So pretty much everyone in that match had not a problem with Drew McIntyre, but they've had some form of thing with Drew McIntyre. But overall, I think Drew deserves better, yes, but I think Drew versus Damian Priest at WrestleMania will
But
be a
then,
really good
on the
match.
other hand, do we disrespect Damian Priest and his achievements over the past 12 months? Could this kind of signify the rise of Damian Priest almost?
Yeah, I agree with that again. But this is the thing. You've got 2 men's titles,
Yeah.
and you've got a list of people that deserve to have a shot at it. 100%.
Oh, there's definitely a long list.
I could name probably about 20 men's wrestlers that deserve to have a world title shot that haven't got a title shot.
Probably about 10 for me.
But they've all done incredible for the past year with the storylines and their capability. But overall, I think Drew and Priest will be a really good match, and I think it's interesting with the direction that is going to go in.
We spoke about 2 returns, that being Jay Cargill and Randy Orton.
Yes.
I was half expecting a third,
Ooh.
that being your tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
The head of the table. The only tribal chief.
Your tribal chief. Because Obviously, we are on the road to WrestleMania.
Yes.
We don't know who Roman's going to face. We know he's going to be there. He's been advertised for a couple of Raws and SmackDowns when they come to Europe on their European leg of this year's road to WrestleMania. I think it's pretty clear who's going to face Seth Rollins. I think.
Yeah.
And Punk,
We'll come on to Punk in a minute.
Yeah.
But you'd think Elimination Chamber, where Seth is trying to win a shot at Cody and go to WrestleMania for a match for the world title. You'd think he'd come and cost Seth.
Yeah.
You'd think he would be there, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think he would.
I mean,
kind of like Logan Paul did as well. He did it. He cost someone the match. I can't remember who it was, but he costed someone in the in an Elimination Chamber match and caused a distraction to get them eliminated. So you would have thought that he would have appeared and kind of costed the match for Seth, but who knows?
He didn't. Do you still think that is a match at WrestleMania? Obviously, it was Seth's kind of blind rage with Roman's even blind rage with Seth at the Royal Rumble, which led to both of their eliminations at the hands of Punk. Yeah. Do you see that being a Mania match?
100%.
100%. Yeah, it's kind of going to be like a throwback to the Shield days.
The build is just insane.
The build for it has been a long time coming, and I think they will do really well at WrestleMania. And they both deserve to face each other. And I think it'll be a good match. But overall, I think it's interesting to see kind of everything that happened in the match led to completely different storylines. So it's really interesting to see where everyone and everything goes over the next couple of weeks leading up to WrestleMania. As Triple H said in the press conference afterwards, the road to WrestleMania has completely begun. It is.
Well, it began after the Royal
Rumble.
But
I think now, after Elimination Chamber, it's kick-started to another level.
It was definitely...
Like Royal Rumble was one thing, but Elimination Chamber has not topped it, but topped it in a way.
Yeah.
It is like... It's a lot of answers, but still a lot of questions.
Which we will obviously get on Monday Night Raw.
Indeed.
Rollins basically eliminated Punk, didn't he?
Pretty much.
He did, yeah, pretty much.
Punk got out of the STF, I believe, and then he was on the ropes, and Seth came out of absolutely nowhere and hit him with a stomp, which then led to John Cena beating CM Punk. John Cena, shades of Money in the Bank 2011 there.
Yes.
Legendary feud, which I think we will see again on Cena's retirement tour. But Punk was eliminated by John Cena.
Yeah.
Your WrestleMania main event is set. Cody Rhodes against John Cena. Face of this era against the face of
the last 20 plus years.
20 odd years, arguably the face of WWE full stop. You could argue in John Cena. I know there's a couple of others up there. You got The Rock, Stone Cold, The Undertaker, etc. Someone still has a favour to use, though, doesn't they? Or don't they, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you remember back to Survivor Series, obviously, for Punk's involvement in the match, Paul Heyman said he owes him a favour. I think this favour will play into WrestleMania.
Okay.
I do. I don't think we'll see the triple threat match. I don't. We know that Punk's dream is to main event WrestleMania.
Yes.
I'm going to say, now, I'm going to make the prediction, Punk, Cena, Rhodes.
Okay.
At WrestleMania 41, in the main event, Punk will finally get his main event match for the WWE Championship. How do we feel about that one, Curtis?
See, look, with the way everything was going, I thought it was going to be a triple threat with CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns because of the Royal Rumble type stuff. But yeah, I still don't. I think it could happen, but I don't think it will. because there is still the favour to be used with Paul Heyman.
Mysterious favour.
We don't know what it will be, but I think as time goes on, it will come into play. I think closer to WrestleMania we get, over the next 2-3 weeks, we'll understand it a bit more of what that favour could be.
We'll get sort of tidbits delivered to
I think
us,
we'll get
so-
hints over the next couple of days/weeks, and we'll understand it a lot more, and it will help. But it's still interesting to see where everything is going to go. It's still kind of not up in the air, but up in the air in a way.
But Jack, you were pleased that John Cena gets to main event his final WrestleMania. Well, we think it's going to main event WrestleMania. Triple H said last night, didn't he, at the post show, that nothing is really set in stone yet as to who main events. It's kind of what the fans are most anticipating, will main event each night.
I was very pleased, and also I was very. It was a welcome change about the pacing of the match. It was very sort of fast paced from start to finish, which was nice.
Do you like kind of fast pacing in a match type like that?
I mean, when it's needed, yeah, 100%. But just when they constantly just go on for a while, it's just not needed, I reckon.
And you were glad that John won as well, Curtis?
Yes, I am. I'm glad John Cena won. I predicted it way before the Royal Rumble that John wasn't going to win the Rumble and he was going to win the Elimination Chamber. There was kind of a lot of question marks from everyone. Will he win it? Should he win it? Does he deserve to win it?
Yeah.
100%. He's now won it. But there's a lot of things that I didn't like, but I did like, but was interesting, but wasn't interesting, but was brutal, but wasn't brutal, but was. I know that's a word kerfuffle, in a way. But what on earth happened after John won?
Segueing us nicely into it. We knew that Cody was set to appear with The Rock, whether he was going to sell his soul to The Rock and almost turn heel and become a corporate champion. Originally, in the rundown by all the different reporting outlets, it said that was kind of going to be in the middle of the card.
Which is what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was just going to be like a filler segment towards the next match.
I thought...
We were very wrong.
Very, very wrong. Very wrong. Very wrong.
I thought that it was kind of going to be Cody says no, and then The Rock goes backstage, and then his champion is kind of revealed in the Elimination Chamber match type itself.
Nope.
No. So John Cena won, and then very similar to the start of the night, the WWE champion Cody Rhodes made his way to the ring.
Whoa!
Wearing an all-black suit, which I think was quite telling, kind of leaning into the could he say yes?
Yeah,
could he say no?
That was a definitely telling thing.
There's something that he said to The Rock that we can't say, unfortunately.
We can't repeat on this podcast.
But if you watched it and if you've seen it, you
will know what phrase he used.
It made me laugh so much, and I put it in the group chat last night. I was like, how many memes do we think that's going to be made into when we wake up in the morning?
I just went, whoa. It's not something you...
I like what you did there.
It's not something you hear every day on the programming, which is...
Because we're so used to them bleeping things like that out, aren't we?
Yeah.
1,000% we are. But he did say no to The Rock. He didn't sell his soul to The Rock.
He sold
with Travis Scott stood alongside him.
His soul is with the fans.
First of all, why was he there? Why?
I don't know. I think it was just to boost the kind of the numbers and.
I get he was there. I get he's a celebrity, but kind of why
he's not just
there?
a celebrity though. He's one of the biggest rappers.
He was the theme behind. He's the theme behind Raw.
He's also the theme of WrestleMania.
What song?
Fiend.
How does it go?
Oh, wow.
I'm not. No.
I know. How does it go? I don't know how the song goes. I'm asking you the question, Curtis.
Go on, Jack.
No. I asked you specifically, didn't I, Jack? I asked Curtis specifically.
Yes.
How does it go, Curtis?
Yeet.
And then it goes...
Fiend.
And then...
Fiend.
And then...
Fiend. And then
Go.
Fiend. I'm not doing it. Anyway.
Well, you said one word out of that, so I can kind of clip that together and we'll get something out of that for you, Curtis.
You're just you're gonna speed it up and just repeat me saying fiend, fiend, fiend.
Yeah.
You're just gonna constantly repeat that, and I'm gonna get a message of a video of me just going fiend, 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 fiend. Oh. And my response to you will be what Cody said to The Rock. If you know, you know. But so you're confused that Travis Scott was there.
I was confused more why that segment.
Yeah.
You know, he could have done what he did with Jey Uso, the Raw premiere, and just kind of come down to the ring with him.
Yeah. Because
could have performed maybe.
Because The Rock music hit, and then it went to Travis Scott for the WrestleMania song,
and I was like,
and then
happening?
Went back to The Rock, and Travis came out, then The Rock came out, which is really interesting. I don't really get the whole point of that. Again, with you, I understand it from your point of view, and then obviously the big thing happened with when Cody said no. John Cena hugged Cody.
Well, John was being all babyface about it, as you'd expect. He was hyping up the crowd. He was cheering along with the crowd. Cody said no, that he was sticking to his babyface roots. He was going with the crowd. And then they went for the hug. Cody turns John.
That famous
hugged him.
And then
great camera shot. You mentioned earlier about the camera quality. Yeah. Great camera shot, because you could just zoom in on John Cena's face.
And he looked at The Rock, and then
he smiled, obviously, for the hug. And then the expression
just changed.
We mentioned earlier in a trance. It was like he was in a trance. Just completely 180, 360.
Just changed.
That happiness and that excitement
dropped.
Went.
Just disappeared.
He looked at The Rock. The Rock did the
neck thing.
Throat slash
sign thing.
Symbol. They did the impossible. John Cena turned heel.
What?
John Cena?
I genuinely didn't see it as even possible. Even a thought.
When he did the kick to the balls, effectively, I was like, what?
What is going on?
And do you know what? Do you know? I was falling asleep, right? Because I was so tired. Because I was like I was up doing stuff throughout the day and was really busy.
Yeah.
And I think I said in the group chat, I was
He's not sleeping now.
I was like, I was falling asleep, but I definitely am not now. What?
John Cena turned heel in 2025.
John Cena has been a babyface for pretty much his whole career.
Last time he was heel, I believe, was the Doctor of Thugonomics.
And now
he's been babyface for 22 years. And 22 years of corporate nice John Cena.
He's been a babyface
for the fans. The last time is now. It's the retirement tour. Oh no, John Cena's goddamn heel now. What?
He sold his soul to The Rock.
He's sold his soul to someone who they've had a massive rivalry. Within the space of a year, they had face to face at WrestleMania. They were going against each other in the face-off when Cody won the title. Long-time storytelling, 100%. And now he's aligned with The Rock. 1, 2, 3, throat slash, kicking the balls, and then Cody gets beaten up to another brutal level. Talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn having an unsanctioned match and getting brutalized each other.
That got blown out the water.
That was another level.
Especially with The Rock.
The Rock
and Cody have been on another level over the past year or so, since The Rock kind of came back with a Final Boss, and he's been brilliant in that role. Fair play to The Rock. It doesn't feel real though. Waking up this morning and kind of gathering my thoughts about last night, what to talk about today for this podcast.
I genuinely still feel like I'm just dreaming.
It's like this is what I love about wrestling. The stuff it does to you, it just like
the emotions,
the emotion and how you feel physically after it, even though it's a scripted sports entertainment.
Which we all know, yes.
What? I have no words. Normally I have words for a lot of things, but that I have no words. I literally don't. John Cena is heel in 2025 and is aligned with The Rock. What?
Again, we seen last year with Cody kind of having to overcome the odds to win the world title. It was bloodline rules at the match against WrestleMania against Roman. Obviously, you had the final boss lurking in the background, the match the night before. The Rock making Cody's life hell on the road to WrestleMania last year. And then complete 360 and it's happening again.
Yep.
Just when we thought Cody and The Rock were kind of on the same page and
they were
things were going swimmingly.
Do you know what I noticed as well? You know the Rolex that was a present?
Yeah.
John Cena hit Cody in the face with that exact same Rolex.
He did, yes.
Which at first everyone thought, well, Michael Cole said it was like the stuff that Logan Paul wears, like a knuckle duster type thing.
I thought it was as well.
Brass knuckles. But then Pat McAfee was like, that's a Rolex.
It's a Rolex.
I knew instantly it was a Rolex because I was looking at it and I was like,
yeah.
That's not. It hasn't got like the knuckle indents. It's the circle, and I was like, that's the Rolex that got gifted. Long time storytelling. It's just, I have no words. I literally don't.
Long term
You
storytelling.
disagree
at
with the
its
heel
finest.
turn though, Jack. You disagree with it. You're so used to seeing him as a good
one
guy.
Pure simple fact, my whole pretty much teenage life was built on the fact that John was babyface. I mean, just for the pure fact he was a good guy my whole career of enjoying this sport. I honestly, I still think I'm dreaming.
Do you know who I feel most sorry for?
Genuinely.
Make-A-Wish.
Oh, wow.
John Cena has the most
Just
Make-A-Wishes in the history of Make-A-Wish. And now he's a heel.
Just think of the headline. Make-A-Wish does not want anything more to do with John Cena.
He was a face. He helped. He's got the record for helping the most people, and now all of a sudden he's a heel, and everybody absolutely hates him for it.
And then,
I think we'll hate him for a while.
Wow.
do we see him being a heel on the full retirement tour up until, say, the end of the year? Or do we think he'll be a heel kind of in this moment around WrestleMania, then someone might snap him out of it? And
I think what will happen. I think what will
face?
happen is he'll win the title and beat Cody at WrestleMania.
Oof.
I think he'll become the all-time record holder of the most WWE championships won, and become a 17-time world champion.
Yes.
And I think maybe kind of a Ric Flair returns and comes out. This is just a complete prediction thing here. This is just a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Could Ric Flair return when John wins and say, congratulations, you beat
I think
me?
so.
And then
Now you need to snap out.
Now you need to become a face. You are the face of WWE. You are the champion. These people love you, kind of thing. And then he snaps back out of it and becomes the John Cena that we all know. Not heel, evil, horrible John Cena.
I am so excited to see where this goes. You mentioned earlier about WWE being kind of
unpredictable,
smashing everything. The fact that John Cena's turned heel and aligned himself with The Rock, two of the arguably biggest names on the planet, never mind in WWE. Can you imagine the amount of views that clip is going to have now, and the beatdown that's come with it, and press conference, and just the amount of potential new eyes on WWE purely because of that one clip?
Honestly, I dare to even check. It'd probably be on at least over 1 million, I reckon.
14 million views on Instagram alone.
Wow.
14 million overnight.
Wow.
John Cena finally turning heel. There was always debates and question marks about when it would happen, but it's finally happened.
It has indeed.
Wrestling, eh?
Exactly. Wrestling is unbelievable, unpredictable, and one final word: interesting.
Always very interested. Thank you, Curtis, as ever.
As always.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you to that cop, and thank you for listening to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast.